Paul, do you have any strong opinions on Zangief and Arby's, particularly the roast beef?
I don't have the hatred of Arby's that Jon Stewart does. Although I haven't been to one in like 1,000 years. So I don't know if you ever went to that roast beef place near my house in LA. I think it may have opened. It's since closed, but there was but every time I saw an Arby's commercial, I'd be like, I'm going to go to that roast beef place near my house because it's really, really good.
I heard that Arby's in Hollywood closed.
It might have. I don't know. I like I said, I haven't been in an Arby's in 600 generations. So,
wow, this totally did not go live. Okay, I'm starting again. Okay, that's better. Paul and I were talking about Zangief and Arby's roast beef. So, that was important. You had to start a little late. Is it true that the Arby's in Hollywood closed?
I have no idea. I don't know where it is or where it was. I did hear something that the Hooters closed.
Oh,
the one that you always would make me go to when we'd go to movie screenings at the Man Chinese Theater.
Yeah, I had two friends that actually worked there that ended up being car/vaping models. So yeah. Anyway, it's Thursday. You know what that means? It's time for RPadTV. Thanks for hanging out with Paul and me. Tonight we're going to talk about Kite Man. Hell yeah, season 1. This show is a spinoff of the outstanding Harley Quinn animated series on HBO and tells the tale of Ivy's ex-fiance, who is now paired up with Golden Glider, Kite Man, who became an interesting character a few years ago with Tom King's comic books, that it kind of made him almost a tragic and sympathetic figure, even though he's kind of like a D-list Batman villain. But Tom King managed to make him interesting. The Harley Quinn series made him hilarious. He was kind of like almost bad villain / himbo, but secretly had a heart of gold kind of deal. So he was a fun character on that show. And now he has his own series. But before we get into that, I'm hoping for an update on paulsemel.com, complete with props. What do you got?
Oh, yes, Paul? I have props. A lot of really good author interviews the last couple of weeks. The first one I wanted to talk about, I'm sorry, it's too early to put up your Halloween decorations, and it's way too early to put up your Christmas ones. So, but the parade of scary books that comes in September and October has started. And I did an interview with the editor of this one.
Oh,
Fears, Perils of Psychological Horror, which is an anthology of classic and relatively new horror stories by a number of people, including Joyce Carol Oates, who most people don't think of as being a horror writer, but she has actually dabbled quite a bit in it. So it's lots of cool, interesting short stories in that. And then next week, this is another sort of vintage thing. There was a writer of science fiction and dark fantasy in the time of the pulps back, about 100 years ago, named Frances Stevens.
Oh,
that's actually not her real name. And this is a book that contains her iconic novel, The Heads of Cerberus, and also 5 other stories. Now, obviously, Frances is not around anymore, but I did get a chance to interview the woman who put this collection together, Dr. Lisa Yaz. I'm probably going to butcher this. It's Yazek. And she is actually a college professor about fiction. So she had an interesting conversation with her because she's the one who talks a lot about what the importance of the stories are and what this person was doing that was different from other people at the time and who she's kind of gone on and influenced. Because one of the things that came out of a lot of her stories was the multiverse. She's writing about the multiverse like long before Evil Spock and DC Comics and all that fun stuff. So that's out. That interview will be up next week, along with lots of other ones.
Yeah, if you want to check out Paul's stories, he has excellent interviews, reviews, previews, and more. There's the URL down below, but there's also a direct link in the video description for your convenience. Now, Paul, you mentioned that horror books are coming out earlier than usual. Is this a trend? Is it becoming?
No, that's not what I meant. They start to come. Their horror books come out all year round,
right? But
there's always like more that come out like in September and especially in October because of Halloween.
Right, but I'm afraid, is it going to be like Starbucks with the pumpkin spice lattes being released in August? Are they going to try to beat each other to the punch?
No, I don't think so, because I think publishing doesn't tend to work like that. Like, I mean, I think they do for like Christmas, but like only for like Christmas gift books. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't put out the new Harry Potter, like if there was one, in September as opposed to October or November. But if there was a box set of those, you might see them a little bit early.
That makes sense.
You know, something like this is not like a gift kind of, you know what I mean? And Halloween isn't a time for giving people gifts. So it's, you know, the people that are buying this for themselves to read it for the most part. So yeah, you're not going to start seeing like Halloween-ish book sales, you know, in July.
Right.
But again, you do see, you know, there are a lot of people who put out scary books all year round. There's a company called Nightfire. It's a division of Tor, and they do horror stories all year round, you know, and they're not alone in that. There are a lot of like, you know, horror specific publishers.
Gotcha. Totally makes sense. So let's kick things off with a thread size review of Kite Man. How did you break it down, Paul?
Let me see what I wrote. Kite Man, hell yeah, season 1. It was okay, but it was no Harley Quinn.
I think similarly to you, but probably liked it more than you. I said, Kite Man, hell yeah, season 1 has the same entertaining combination of quirky humor, hilarious violence, and surprising heart as the Harley Quinn animated series, but never quite reaches Harley's heights in 2 of those categories. I hope it gets another season, because with a few tweaks, Kite Man and Golden Glider can soar. So that is what I thought. I mean, what did you think of the Kite Man character in the Harley Quinn series, and how did that affect your expectations of his own show?
My feeling about him in that show is kind of what I felt about this show, which was, it's okay. He's okay. You know, he was far from my favorite character in Harley Quinn. I mean, I can, you know, Bane was more interesting. King Shark was more interesting. Harley, obviously, you know, a lot of other characters. And so I kind of understood why they gave him his own like kind of sitcom, but like it just never. He's not that interesting of a character. I mean, I haven't read the Tom King comics, but to me, he's like you said, he's like a D-list Batman guy. Like he's there with like Condiment King,
right? You know, I mean, but you take a D-list Batman villain and a D-list Flash villain, put them together, can maybe magic happens? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me that worked in the show was I thought Golden Glider was interesting. And I thought she was far more interesting than he was. And I did think that their relationship was interesting, and that they made a good couple, and that they were an interesting couple to watch. But every once in a while, he would kind of be, well, you know, kind of meh. And I'd be like, oh, why can't he be like more interesting in this context? You know,
I agree with you there. I mean, we're getting a familiar setup in that it mimics the Harley series, in that it centers around a couple. They all have a bunch of like sidekick characters in their lives. In this case, the patrons of Noonan's Bar, which is, I guess, something different they got into. You still have like the good bad guys and the bad guys that are actually bad.
Right.
So there's a lot of similarities there, but it tries to do its own thing. And I liked the Harley elements we got into it. I mean, the violence is silly and ridiculous. The humor is different, although I don't think it ever gets as funny as the Harley Quinn series. The relationship is cute. Again, it's one of my favorite things about them. I agree that Kite Man can be sort of blank, but I think in some cases he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be really accommodating. If you remember in the Harley series, he's famous for making really awesome chili, but when he would make it for Ivy, he would take out the meat because she's obviously vegetarian. And when he makes it for Golden Glider, he takes out the onions because she despises onions. But you know, he will do a lot for the women or the people that he loves. So I enjoyed it. I liked the familiarity of it, although I guess in some ways it felt like a inferior version of the Harley Quinn series.
I think that's kind of the problem that I had with it, was that it was, you know, we did one of these videos a few weeks ago. We were talking about Borderlands, and we were talking about how the Borderlands games crank it up to 11 and the movie was at like a 6 or 7.
Yeah,
maybe. And I feel that way about the show, where Harley Quinn works so well in part because it is cranked up to 11.
Yeah.
And this was not nearly that, you know. And a lot of it is things that we'll get into about this, the writing and whatnot. Yeah, it just, and again, if Harley Quinn didn't exist, maybe I would have liked this better.
I agree. Yeah.
I think by comparison, you know, when you're, especially as somebody who really, really likes the Harley Quinn cartoon,
yeah,
you know, this pales in comparison, and you can't help but compare it.
No, that's all very fair. Talking about things that we didn't like, and this is kind of, it's not that I hated it, but I think I would have preferred it the other way. So they changed the actor and they changed the tone of Golden Glider from Harley Quinn to the Kite Man series. They're both great actors, the people that play her, but the characterization, I kind of preferred how she was in the Harley Quinn series, where she was a little bit shy, but she was still lewd and powerful and can do all these things. But in this one, they almost made her like Harley light, you know, where she was a little more forward, but still not, and as you said, not cranked to 11. So
right.
they kind of turned her up, but not enough.
See, it's funny that you say that, because I honestly didn't realize until today, when I looked it up, that it wasn't the same person. Like, yeah. I thought it never dawned on me that it wasn't the same person. And I looked it up, and I thought that the person who was doing it, whose name is Stephanie Hsu,
yeah,
who was in Everything Everywhere All at Once,
yep,
did a really, really good job. And the funny thing, and the reason that I wound up looking it up, is because there were other characters where they changed the voice actors, and it wasn't as good. I wrote them down. For example, Queen of Fables in Harley Quinn was Wanda Sykes,
right?
And it was Janelle James, and Janelle was okay, but she's not Wanda Sykes.
And Lex Luthor.
Yes. Well, Lex Luthor was Lance Reddick, and I thought Lance Reddick did a really, really good job as Lex Luthor, but he wasn't Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, I mean, these are both downgrades, and that's no disrespect to the actors that took over, but
right.
I mean, Wanda Sykes, Giancarlo Esposito, those are pretty
well. And also, it wound up not being Lance Reddick at the end of the show anyway, because I think it's after the 8th episode, Lance died. He passed away, and which is why the episode ends with like dedicated to Lance Reddick. And then in like the last 2 episodes, it's somebody I never even heard. Like, I looked it up because he doesn't, to his credit, but also the character's detriment, he didn't try to sound like Lance Reddick. Right. And so there was that, and again, he wasn't that good. And the thing for me was, as I was watching it, I was like, oh, I hope this doesn't carry over to the next season of Harley Quinn. Like, like, I don't know whether the Queen of Fables will be in that show, but if she is, I hope they get Wanda Sykes back. And like, I hope Giancarlo comes back to be Lex, if, you know, we assume Lex will be in the show.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I would assume Lex would be, and maybe Queen of Fables not. But if she is, I mean, Wanda Sykes is so distinct and funny that
yeah,
it's a tough act to follow. I'm going to switch chyrons back for a second. One of the things I did like was Helen Villigan was played by Judith Light.
Yeah.
From Who's the Boss fame.
Yeah.
Every time she would talk, I'd be like, Angela, Mona, Samantha. I mean, that's all he did.
I also really liked Keith David as Darkseid.
Loved. I mean, I love Keith David, but
Keith David is amazing. And the thing about Keith David is if you wanted like a straight Darkseid, I don't think you would do better than Michael Ironside.
Right.
Who did him in like the Superman cartoons and the Justice League. But as a comedic Darkseid,
perfect.
He just was so good in this. And it reminded me a lot of, I don't know if you watch a lot of Rick and Morty, but he plays the president, and he's so funny in that because he's such an idiot. And it was sort of like, it was kind of like that, but like smarter.
Right.
And the character was smarter. And like that whole thing where he drinks Lee Trevino's and like.
Yeah, that's in the trailer for people who didn't know. So Kite Man makes him a half iced tea, half lemonade, which obviously is an Arnold Palmer, but Darkseid's like, this drink reminds me of my favorite golfer. And Kite Man's like, Arnold? Then he's like, Lee Trevino. Another round of Lee Trevino's for everyone. I mean, and they keep that gag for the rest of the show. So I think that's hilarious. And it's Keith David's voice, because on paper, that joke is okay, but the gravitas of Keith David's voice, who, if you're not familiar with the actor, I guess a lot of people know him as Goliath from Gargoyles. Wasn't he in that shitty Spawn movie? Wasn't he Spawn?
No, that was somebody else. He was the Arbiter. Was he the Arbiter? Yeah, I think he was the Arbiter in the Halo games. He's also in the movie They Live.
Oh yeah.
He's an iconic actor, and like if you see him or hear his voice, you'd be like, oh, that guy. Yeah. Okay. Like very much in the mold of the now late great James Earl Jones.
Right.
Who also had a very distinctive but also very commanding voice. Like,
was Keith David a Klingon? Was he a Klingon on TNG? Or something? That's gonna bug the hell out.
He might have been. I don't know. You have to look that up. I mean, like if you pull up his IMDb page, it's probably like 100 deep.
Yeah, it's pretty massive.
Yeah.
But yes, so I guess that goes into this good list that even though we don't have Giancarlo Esposito and Wanda Sykes, the voice acting is pretty strong in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we touched on this a little bit, and I want you to expand on it because it seemed like you had more things to say, but did the writers do enough to make Kite Man distinct from Harley Quinn?
I mean, they were definitely true to the characters as they were established in Harley Quinn. And I think if they had tried to make this way too different, it wouldn't have worked. You know, because it is part of the Harley Quinn verse, if you will. You know what I mean? You can't go off and do something completely tonally different. Like they couldn't really do like a serious show.
Right.
But as we said, Harley compared to Kite Man is, 11 compared to a 6. And as a result of that, the writing wasn't nearly as weird or funny or crazy, or outlandish. And I understand why, but I kind of wish it had been a little more so. Like to go numerical with it, instead of being a comparison of 6 to 11, I wish it was like a 9 to 11.
I mean, there was too much in terms of similarities for me, and I think they could have changed the formula a little bit. And I hate to say this because I love the character, but I don't think Bane should have been one of the sidekick characters, because I love that character in Harley. He's so funny, but I wish we saw more of like Queen of Fables and Gus and Six Pack and Noonan. At the end, when Noonan was in that fight scene, I wasn't expecting that. I thought that was hilarious. But I kind of had Bane overdose on this.
Yeah, I do like Bane in Harley Quinn, but I like him because he's used somewhat sporadically. Like too much Bane is the way that guy portrays Bane is a bit too much. And the whole thing where like first he's in love with Golden Glider's mom, and then he's taking care of the girl from the Three Bears. It was a bit Goldilocks. Like it was a bit too much Bane.
Yeah, I mean,
I kind of wish like there had been somebody else, like some other weird character to come in there, but I don't know who.
Right,
somebody new.
For the minor characters in Harley, it's divided pretty evenly between Bane and Clayface and Frank the Plant. So you have more. Right. And here, I mean, they gave Bane most of the sidekick stories, a little bit of Malice, and the others. They didn't do a whole lot for most.
Yeah, I mean, you had like that one guy that was drunk the whole time, and
Six Pack, yes.
Yeah, and then that other guy who disappeared and turned out he was Martian Manhunter, and
right. Carlos says they didn't know what happened to Bane's dominatrix girlfriend. Yeah, I mean, they had this thick red-headed dominatrix sexy lady that Bane hooked up with for one episode, never to be heard from again.
Yeah.
That was in between Goldilocks and Glider's mom. So
yeah, I will say this though, I was glad that they didn't bring in all of the people from Harley Quinn. Like if it had been like King Shark and Frank and and Dr. Psycho, like I would that would have been too much crossover.
Oh, Maria disagrees with us. She didn't think it was enough Bane. I don't know. Out of all those supporting characters in Harley Quinn, I think Clayface cracks me up the most. So I was disappointed that we only got spoilers, one Clayface episode in Kite Man, and I'm with Paul. Like there was too much Bane for me. I'll talk about it more later, but there's one character I would have loved to have learned more out of the Noonan's crew. But why don't we take a quick break for a second while I play this completely fake ad read. Guys, this is important information. You do not want to miss this. Hey guys, it's Raymond. Thanks again for watching RPadTV. I really, really appreciate it. Now, a lot of viewers have asked me, Raymond, why does your skin look so incredible on camera? My secret? RPadTV Restoring Facial Moisturizer. If you're not familiar with RPadTV, it's a men's care company founded by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The company offers soaps, body washes, shampoos, facial moisturizers, and facial cleansers. All are backed by let me see, what was it here? Result-focused formulations backed by science. I mean, it's science, so you can't argue with the results. And speaking of which, 98% of the men that have used this product have reported that their skin feels hydrated and nourished. The other 2%, they're probably liars and thieves and thugs and AEW fans, stuff like that. So you don't want to listen to those people. You want to listen to the 98% of the men that know what they're talking about. Hey, if it's good enough for me and it's good enough for The Rock, it's definitely good enough for you. So check out RPadTV Restoring Facial Moisturizer, available at Target stores across America. I told you it was important.
Mm-hmm.
So we have another comment here. Yes, Maria likes my ad. Thanks very much. Let's talk about the Noonan's crew and the good bad guys. Out of the main characters, and I will extend that to everyone that was recurring at Noonan's, who stood out to you in Kite Man?
Probably Malice and Noonan. I mean, Noonan mostly because he was kind of like an unknown for like a lot of the show, and then at the end, like you said, he kind of went off, and it was kind of like It was kind of like when you got to that second Star Wars prequel, and like all of a sudden Yoda throws down with Dooku, and you're like, oh shit. And I also really like the guy, the guy who does his voice. He again, like Judith Light, was somebody I was like, wait, he's doing a cartoon, really? Okay, cool. But Malice was interesting. I mean, like a little bit of a generic kind of goth, like I'm so evil, I'm so angry kind of character. But there was that kind of hint of something more there, and especially with the cat, and
right. Malice was my favorite too, because I mean, she did have the whole goth evil thing, but I love that she was Darkseid's goddaughter. And they almost gave her like almost a Kardashian-ish thing where she's rich and spoiled, but she's been cut off by Darkseid, so she has to work in this crappy bar. So I thought she was the most interesting. I hope we get season 2, and I hope we get more of her in season 2. It's a fun character because she's
I don't know if they were going to bring her back, because people really just don't give a crap now about girls who have cats. I mean, like, especially like single girls who don't have kids that have cats. I mean, like, there's, it's not like not like if you're a childless cat lady, anybody gives a crap about you, or
who
you endorse for president, or what football player you're dating.
All legal scholars. That's my favorite phrase. You can say anything if you preface it with all legal scholars. Apparently the new thing is, I won this podcast by 93%, 70%, 78%. The polls show that I won it. I just made those numbers up because apparently that's what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, too much Bane. I loved Malice, wanted to see more of her. I'm unfamiliar with the guy who played Noonan. Who is that?
You would know him if you saw him. He was on Better Call Saul. I think he might have also been in. He's like one of those character actors, like if you. Oh God, I hang on. Let me look. Let me see if I can find his name. Like, not that you're gonna know his name.
You will know my name.
His name is Jonathan Banks.
Yeah.
You absolutely. He was in the TV show Wise Guy. He was on Breaking Bad, and he played Mike on both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. He was in Airplane, apparently. Beverly Hills Cop.
Airplane.
Under Siege 2. He was in the 5th season of Community. He's one of those guys like Joe Pantaleone. Like, if you saw him, you'd be like, oh, that guy.
Apparently he was in Gremlins and The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
Yes.
Jeez.
One of my all-time favorite movies.
That doesn't get enough play. Why don't people talk about that movie? I also
it's like a weird fucking cult ass movie, and
it is weird. Yeah. Let's switch to the bad guys that are actually bad. I mean, for me, it was Darkseid. Because I love the way that character was performed and written. It was just because if you're not familiar with Darkseid in the comic books, he is like a galactically powerful bad guy that is obsessed with destroying all life. So he's kind of like DC's Thanos, if you're more familiar.
Yeah, kind of.
So,
which apparently is one of the reasons why they backed off using Darkseid in the Justice League movie.
Also
because they thought like everyone's gonna think we're ripping off like Thanos.
We'll have Darkseid go after the power rocks.
Right. Well, but the funny thing is like I find the Darkseid whole thing is like he wants the anti-life equation.
Yes.
And the anti-life equations always struck me as one of these like science fiction concepts that's just fucking stupid.
Yes.
And I loved how in this show they basically were like, we're going to change it so it's not a mathematical equation, but it's an actual thing, but we're not going to show you. We're going to go very Tarantino with it. And like, it made it a little more palatable, but it's still just like,
Well, I loved how they used
What?
this serious, all-powerful, destructive force in this completely silly show. So I think that kind of helped,
Yeah.
you know, and like in between fighting over the anti-life equation, you have a giant kitten fighting a giant chicken. So I mean, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of makes it. I mean, the setting, it just puts it all into context. Because yeah, if as a serious device, it is kind of stupid. But I mean, I love all of these Jack Kirby creations like Darkseid and Apocalypse and the New Gods. Um, some of those costume designs are just so wild and out there. Like
Yeah.
Mr. Miracle's costume is stupid, but it's so distinct that like, yeah, Jack Kirby made that. I mean, if you look at his designs for the New Gods and on the Marvel side, he created all the Eternals and the Deviants and those kinds of. He loves doing this like giant intergalactic space stuff, and he's awesome for it. But any other villains stood out for you? I mean, Darkseid really did steal the show.
Yeah, Darkseid. Helen Villigan, as we mentioned, was really interesting, and again, the fact that it was Judith Light made it hilarious, but the fact that she also just did a really good job. Like she, very obviously didn't phone it in, and she was kind of, she's very much like the Jeff Bezos of the Harley verse, but like she wasn't like a parody of Jeff Bezos. You know what I mean? Like she wasn't. There's a lot of things that you could parody Jeff Bezos over. And they didn't kind of do that with her, but they did make her that kind of like e-commerce goddess
that owns everything.
Yeah. So
I thought they were going to go in a different direction and have her end up being Granny Goodness, but they did not. Like she really is her own like evil.
Right.
I guess Jeff Bezos is arguably evil. So, like she is this universe's Jeff Bezos, and that character was pretty excellent.
Yeah.
I do feel bad for the Lex Luthor actors in this because Giancarlo Esposito is so good in that role that it's hard. Anything else is kind of a step down.
See, I didn't think of it as a step down, but it was just for me jarring that it wasn't the same person.
Okay.
Like if it had been Lance Reddick all along, that would have been great. He's great. He was great when he was doing it. Now the guy who had to follow him, not so much.
Yeah. I mean, but that's a tough situation.
Yeah.
Carlos also loved Darkseid, mainly because of his love for Lee Trevino's. The choir. I love Darkseid's choir also. And he enslaved that one guy for the lifetime warranty being voided. I believe that was Brandon from Pettigan's.
Yes.
Aren't all the Villigan stores and like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon from Villigan's. But yes, that is also a fantastic thing. We kind of said this already, but who did you want to see more of in season 1 that we didn't get enough of?
I mean, Darkseid again.
I have the right amount of Darkseid. For me, it was the right.
Yeah, but I would want him to come back as in the second season.
That is the next question. So yeah, who did you want to see more or less of in season 1? I mean, we've been talking about this throughout. I could have used less Bane.
Yeah, I would have liked less Bane. I would have liked Harley Quinn to have shown up. Even if it was just at the end, or you know what I mean, or well, no, not at the end, because that would have been silly. But like, I would have liked to have her show up at some point, and do something. But I can't point to a spot specifically where like, oh, this would have been cool if Harley showed up.
Right. I mean, we got the rest of her gang in. There was Frank, Clayface for one glorious episode.
Right.
A ton of Bane. No King Shark, though, who also is an excellent character.
Yeah.
Ron Funches is awesome. Go see his stand-up if you have a chance. That guy is... Carlos is saying, definitely see Queen of Fables. She needs to fix her stories. Yes, more Bane. I'd like to see King Shark. And I still make fun of my friend that pronounces Ron's last name as like Ron Fungiz. I'm like, that's not his name. And that's kind of gross what you're saying. Yeah, I think they could have done. I'm surprised Carlos and Maria want to see more Bane, because I think he would have stood out more with fewer appearances.
Yeah, it almost seems like they needed to have one more character in the bar who was a colorful, terrible bad guy.
Right.
Like a condiment king, or you know what I mean? Somebody like that silly.
Right.
You know.
Or they actually did have a chicken villain named Cock King in the Harley series. I don't know if you remember him. But yeah, they could have used maybe another female too. Although Doubles is interesting because he's like half a character, I guess, with his brother, his conjoined twin brother.
Oh, Rob. Yeah. And it was the guy from The Sopranos. Again,
yes.
Somebody you don't think of as doing cartoon voices, and did Michael Imperioli, is that his name?
That is his name, correct.
You know, and he was really good.
I mean, that's what he does. He's an Italian gangster actor.
Right, but still, I mean, you know, again, he could have just phoned it in, and he very clearly didn't, and I appreciate that. Yeah, but I do think like there could have been one other character who maybe could have taken over the Goldilocks story from Bane, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That you know what I mean? Like
suggestion.
But I don't know who. Like, I mean, Condiment King is kind of dumb.
I think you needed another female in the mix.
Is there like a really terrible female villain?
You mean aside from Golden Glider?
Yeah, but she doesn't seem as incompetent as you know.
Oh no, I just meant as a character, in terms of character designs and powers and everything, because the Flash has like stupid villains.
Right. But yeah, that's what like I'm looking for like the female version of Condiment King. You know what I mean? Like somebody that goofy, but
yeah. Well, if you guys also have any different ideas out there, leave them in the comments.
But they could always make up a character. I mean, they could make up a character.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, who do we have that was the health inspector guy for that one episode is that one really funny, annoying actor. He's like Larry David's cousin in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Oh, what is that character's name? No idea. But they animated his character like him. I thought that was a funny character. Total aside there. I can't even. Oh, that's so bad. I should have written that down. Sorry, guys. Now let us. I will remember it in like 5 minutes, so don't worry. Do you think we'll get a season 2? And what would you like to see different? Should we get a season 2?
It seemed like they were setting up for the possibility of season 2.
Yes.
But my guess is that season 2 will not come unless season 1 did very well. And I don't know that it did. I don't know that it didn't. I just don't know either way.
Right.
You know, so I guess we'll have to see. But I know we're getting Harley season 5 first.
Right.
But beyond that, I don't know. I mean, we do know that James Gunn, who is in charge of all the DC movies and stuff, has said that he doesn't want to mess with he loves the show. He was on the show, and he doesn't want to he basically wants it to run its course. Like, he wants it to do what they want to do. So
right. Doesn't he die in season 4 of Harley Quinn? And
I think so.
Clayface takes starts playing him.
Yeah. But so it'll have to see how well it does. You know, I don't know. I mean, and we, I guess we'll find out at some point. But who the hell knows?
Richard Kind is the actor.
Richard Kind. Yeah. He's always really good at cartoon voices, and just in normal
and TV being a cartoonish human. Too.
Yeah.
I would like to see season 2. I'm excited to watch more, but I want to see him change the formula a little bit. Maybe another character is needed. Maybe taking one away and giving more emphasis to, well, obviously Queen of Fables would play a big part in season 2 because her shit's been taken over. So,
right.
Not even like maybe a nondescript character like Gus can show up. Apparently Six Pack is more useful in a fight than we thought, as we learned at the end of the season. So maybe he can step it up. But I don't know. Is a bar setting enough to really make it different than Harley Quinn? Although if they do like a Fables themed season 2, maybe they just jump around from Fable to Fable. So that could be interesting. That would make it different. There's the idea.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I think they probably set it up the way they did because they didn't want to mess with the formula too much.
Right.
But it seems that, like, especially for you, that it kind of backfired by not making it different enough.
Although I think I get the sense that I liked it a little more than you do in general.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So.
And oddly enough, I wasn't bothered by the similarities in the formula. To me, it was more my lack of enthusiasm is more about the writing and just how it was. It didn't crack me up the way that Harley Quinn did. It didn't.
Right. The humor is not quite that sharp. It's in that direction, in that vein, but never gets that. For the most part, it doesn't get as sharp as the Harley Quinn humor.
Nope.
But still good.
Nope. But that's okay.
I mean, would you recommend this series to anyone? I mean, watch it if you're bored kind of thing, or go watch Harley?
I think that if you like Harley Quinn and you liked Kite Man, let me put it to you this way. It's not worth getting HBO Max just to watch this.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But if you have HBO Max because of Harley Quinn and whatever, and you're like, okay, I got like a couple weeks before Harley Quinn comes on, I say, yeah, watch it. It's not terrible. It's not horrible. It's just kind of okay. And if you know what it's going to be going in, that helps. If your expectations are not, oh, this is going to be Harley Quinn, then you're fine. Right. The analogy that I would use, and you're probably going to disagree with me, is it's like what the second half of Boba Fett was to the Mandalorian.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
Not quite as good, but in the same vein, in the same entertainment, realm.
And with Technicolor scooter gangs. So.
You hated those a lot more than I did.
I still hate them. I mean, the series is Harley Quinn light, and I think it can be more than that. They have the makings of a show that can be cool and distinct and different, but it's not quite there yet. I hope they get an opportunity to.
But I would also say to what you just said, that it is sort of Harley Quinn Jr., but it's not Harley Quinn babies. Like, it's not Harley Quinn watered down.
Right.
It's definitely, it's not as edgy as Harley Quinn, but it's also not, I'm trying to think of like a milquetoast like cartoon, like,
Well, I almost want to, I mean, an extreme analogy would be comparing Star Wars to, what was that made for Netflix Star Wars ripoff that came out? Was it early this year or?
Oh, Rebel Moon?
Yes. It's like, I wouldn't go that far.
No, I couldn't even get through Rebel Moon. I watched like the first like hour of the first movie, and I love the woman who was in that. I can't think of her name, of course, off the top of my head.
Mummy.
Like Sophia Botella. Like I think she's fascinating and super cool. And so the idea that you can't make an interesting movie with her,
right?
Well, then again, it's been done with the Mummy, but okay, like still, like.
How about this analogy? If Harley Quinn is Star Trek, maybe Kite Man is Battlestar Galactica.
First version of Battlestar Galactica.
Yes, I was thinking that, not the new ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're talking Richard Hatch before he was face on the A-Team, or
right.
Well, no, Dirk Benedict was face.
No, Dirk Benedict was,
yes, who's also in Battlestar Galactica.
Right.
Damn.
Yeah.
I oversold Richard Hatch on that one.
Well, and Richard Hatch was in the second Battlestar Galactica.
I did not know that. I didn't finish it. That's interesting.
He came in pretty early. Like he played one of the survivors who kind of stirred up some shit. Yeah.
Was he did he remain throughout the series, or was he just a couple of episodes?
I don't think so. I think he came in second or third season and was gone by, like, he wasn't there very long. He was,
That reminds me, I do want to have a discussion on a Richard Hatch movie. I'm going to rope Mac into this. I don't know if you saw Prisoners of the Lost Universe.
No, I don't know what that is.
It was on heavy cable rotation when my parents could finally afford cable.
Okay.
So I watched this movie a ton. He gets like Richard Hatch and this scientist woman gets sucked into another universe. He teams up with this green face guy and a thief to fight their way out against the evil dictator. I forget who the main bad guy is, but it's another very angry.
Sounds like a low rent Flash Gordon.
Yes, it is in that vein. John Saxon.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely a low rent Flash Gordon.
I mean, it's Richard Hatch and John Saxon. Who was really awesome in Enter the Dragon, but this was more of the level he was at. Kay Lenz, who was apparently a big deal in the 70s.
Oh yeah.
Really? I don't know her outside of this movie.
Oh yeah, she was one of those like very like attractive, like, big time movie stars back in the day.
So if Harley Quinn is Farrah Fawcett, would Kite Man be Kay Lenz?
Maybe.
You
I would say it's more that Harley Quinn is Jacqueline Smith and Kite Man is Kate Jackson.
Okay.
Both good, both very attractive, but one is.
And we will leave you on that.
So, weird. Blame the analogy.
Charlie's Angels.
Harley Quinn is like a cheeseburger with avocado, and Kite Man is like a Mexican hairless dog.
Yes. But guys, please do me a favor. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe. Oh, Paul's got fireworks. He's going all Katy Perry on us.
Yep.
Check out Paul's site. It is in the description below if you can't figure out how to type in paulsemel.com by yourself.
You're
not doing it. Do something. And RPadTV will be taking a break for the rest of September. I am flying off to Hawaii to hang out with my brother's family.
Nice.
But we will be coming back in October. First episode in October will be about the Mr. McMahon series on Netflix. And the second episode will be about Rings of Power on Amazon Prime. So stay tuned for those. Thanks for hanging out. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. And we'll see you next time on RPadTV. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.